Jean-Pierre Landau, you just gave a wonderful speech here at the Institute on cryptocurrencies, and you were quoting John Oliver saying that cryptocurrencies, that's all that you don't understand about money and all you don't understand about computers. So what is it actually? Because it's electronic money, but I have my credit cards. That's the same thing.
I like this quote because it explains why we're all fascinated by this evolution. Whatever we think of it on the substance, it combines the technology and the money. And it forces us to ask ourselves some fundamental questions about whether the current wave of technological progress and cryptographic progress will lead to a reconsideration of the nature of money.
Now, you start saying that it's very much a decentralized system at Bitcoin because people try to establish trust through a complicated technical process. But the end, you always have sort of inbuilt in your words that centralism is better. Is it a typical French attitude?
I don't think I have a pro-centralized bias, but it's fair to say that up to now, and I think the promoter of those currencies acknowledge that they have what they call a scalability problem, which is that they have difficulties in managing efficiently a large number of transactions. And the reasons of that is that the requirements that the consensus system, the consensus mechanism in a decentralized system, those requirements are extremely heavy, and they actually increase with the volume of transaction.
So basically this process has to be so complicated because there's no trust amongst people.
Exactly. This is the objective. This is the objective, is to, through very sophisticated cryptographic techniques, to allow people who don't know each other, who can be living in very different countries, to exchange value and financial wealth over thousands of miles with the rest of the world watching and nobody knowing exactly what they're doing.
There also seems to be an element of creed. It's nearly like religious because people have to believe that this is worth something.
Well, money is based on trust. So whether it's religious or not, I don't know. But all money, the main pillar of money, of course, is trust. The paradox in cryptocurrencies, which again, today do not function very well as means of payments or stores of values, the paradox that try to establish trust through cryptography between people who don't trust themselves. There's no backing. Usually, we trust our currency because it has some backing by the government or the central banks or some kind of institutional mechanism which make us trust that the currency will be issued in condition which is in our interest. Here, the currencies are issued by an algorithm, which is managed in a very decentralized way. So building trust is much more complicated. And up to now, reconciling trust and efficiency has not proved very easy at all.
It seems to be weird, but you're, as a former central banker, you come up with a proposition saying that central banks should issue crypto money. Why is that?
I'm not as prescriptive as that, and I think central bankers themselves are weighing the pros and cons of issuing their own central bank digital currencies. There have been many reports and speeches to that effect in the last period. I think this is an option, and I think they're right in considering that option, keeping all their choices open. But there may be a stage of the technology and the world and the people preferences when these kind of instruments may become necessary, yes.
One last question. If you look at these values that change so quickly between these currencies, that one day it costs a lot, then the next day it costs much less. So what's the difference between this and gambling or a bubble or stuff like that? That seems to be pretty irrational.
Oh, we certainly went through a bubbly phase in the last months. I think when you see what happened in the prices up and down in very quick succession, we certainly went into a bubbly phase, which can be explained by by the attraction for the technology combined with the very easy financial marginal condition that we have all over the world. So we had that 20 years ago with the dot-com bubble. We may see something like that. I think we should be able to see through that, not let ourselves excessively carried over, either by the bubble or by its bursting, and look at the fundamentals. And the fundamentals are uncertain, as I said, because the ambitions are enormous and the technology might not be there still.
What's the future really? Does anybody know what's the future of digital money?
No, we don't know the future. It's important first to take stock of where we are. And we are in a situation when, with digitalization, we've made an enormous amount of progress in securing payments, even in small amounts, in very safe ways, in a very speedy, efficient, and non-costly way. So payment systems have made enormous progress in the last 2 decades. I think we should really be aware of that. For the future, who can say? I mean, clearly we are in a very quick phase of technological progress. Technology will change a lot of activity. It will change driving, it will change messaging, it will change finance. I think it's a valid question to ask for people who want to be a little bit prospective, whether it will or not change money.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.